We will see what is what if parameter. We discussed about the query parameters.
Recording in progress.
So, okay, the query parameters we have seen it, right? How to create a parameter. That's what we have seen it in the past. Now we will see what if parameter, and also we will continue with the dashboard, right? So the dashboard part. Let me just quickly go to my this thing. Where is that? Yeah, so this is what my, one second. In fact, I upgraded it for premium license, but they are yet to approve it due to the RBI recent policy, right? So they cannot do it. Okay, so now I just show you. I'll just open some. This is my dashboard, right? So not that. One second. Let me just go here and see if I can open something here. Okay, here I will just go here and sandbox. I don't know where I kept the file. Oh, it will be here, I think so. So yeah, so this is the one. I'm going to open it now. This is the data set, and if I select on this, it automatically opens the report part. So this is the report already created, right? This is the report, and if you go here, this is already published, because you know how to publish this and all, right? I don't want to repeat it again. From the desktop, I published it here. It is available here. So the next step is I'm going to pin. So this is when you move the cursor, when you hover the cursor over the visuals here, you can see that the pin visual, right? So I just go ahead and click pin visual, and I'm going to say pin this visual to the new dashboard. The new dashboard name is executive dashboard. I just put some name, okay, executive dashboard, and I just go ahead and pin this. So create mobile layout is available. Go to dashboard. So I can go to the dashboard and see. So the visual what you see on this dashboard is called as tile, okay. But when you click that tile, it will take you back to the report. Okay, see, it's I just click that tile in that dashboard, newly created dashboard. It took me back to my report here. Okay, this is called report. Okay, so what I do is I do one thing here. Okay, pin to a dashboard. Yeah, so look here. If I do a pin to a dashboard, the entire report itself, I'm going to pin to a dashboard. Is it possible to do that? Right, so I'm going to say execute a new dashboard. Okay, I call this a executive yeah, so dashboard. Corporate dashboard. So it's possible to pin the entire report itself as a dashboard. Okay, so this entire report, instead of pinning specific visuals to my dashboard, what I do is I take the entire report and then I just pin it to this one. And if I don't find, or if I don't see any of these visuals are not helpful, right, so I can remove it. Okay, so here if I select this one visual, right, it will take me back to my report. So now this is my dashboard, and whatever the objects that you are seeing it here, right, these are all nothing but your this thing. One second, let me just takes a lot of time. So now the question is, what is the difference between dashboard and report? Say I created a report and I just pinned the entire report itself as a dashboard, right? So what is the difference between dashboard and report? So dashboard is nothing but a visual display of the important or the most important information needed to achieve one or more objectives. Okay, and it will have the consolidated and arranged on a single screen, so that the information can be monitored at a glance. Just by looking at this, you should be able to gain a quick insight. On the other hand, the report is any informational work, right? So the information can be at any format. You can use table, chart, text, number of, something else. And you can create reports over your data model using the tables, columns, and visualization tools. But you cannot create a dashboard this way, right? Once when we have this report, right, we pinned this entire report itself as a dashboard. Or if you want to pin individual visualizations from a report into dashboard, right, it is like a cockpit of individual visualizations and or whole reports. Okay, the dashboards can have multiple tiles from different reports and different data models. So when we click on a tile, we saw that it took us back to our report, right? So look here, when I select this one here, one second, here you don't see the pin option, right? You don't see the pinning option here. So the entire thing itself, you can move up and down. You can so you can also pin a tile here, tile details, right? So executive report apply here. So okay, so it's already applied. And one second, let me just chat in Teams. One second, let me just see if I have the chat in Teams. Once you publish it here, you can probably chat with your team members, sign in. Okay, here it goes by that. It's not going by the app user, app.powerbi.com. I created 2 or 3 users. Okay, some error. Okay, we cannot use it. I think with premium only you can do it. And go to report. You can go back to report using this option. You can edit the details, and you can also pin the tile. Okay, so let's say if I select pin tile and existing dashboard, and from the existing, look here, one dashboard to another dashboard, you can pin it, right? So what I will do is I just pin live, pin in live, go to dashboard, pin to dashboard. Sales profit, look here. So now we can pin one dashboard to another dashboard, and also you can pin visuals from, see, this is very important, you need to remember this. In the interview they'll ask you. So this is the one. Let's say I have workspace A, and two workspaces are there, and in workspace A, what I did, I have I have report 1 and report 2. Report 2 and report 1, I have 2 visuals, and I could see that these 2 visuals and 3 visuals from these 2 reports, I can include it in my dashboard. Or let's say here I can say, I can have here also 2 visuals. What you can do is you can pin the visuals from these 2 reports to your dashboard. Okay, to your dashboard. And supposing here I have report 3 and report 4. So here I have 2 visuals, and here I have 1 visual is there. Now the question is, currently I am in workspace A. What I do is I can pin these 2 visuals from report 1, and from these 2 so from these 2 reports, 4 visuals I can pin it to my new dashboard or existing dashboard. But I cannot use the workspace, right? So one workspace to another workspace, I cannot use the visuals. So here I have 2 visual or 1 visual, no matter whether you have a dashboard, right? You cannot do it. and then I can I can pin the entire report itself as a dashboard within the same workspace. Okay, I can pin the entire report itself as dashboard, or you can pin the visuals, from so different reports to a dashboard, okay, to a new or existing dashboard. The same thing is up to itself as a dashboard. Okay, you can pin the visuals from different world, but you cannot pin the visuals from other workspace to this one. That is not possible. Okay, once you pin the visuals to your dashboard, in the dashboard, whatever you see the visuals, right, that are called tiles. In the dashboard, we call the visuals as tiles. That's all. Okay, so that's why I already mentioned, right? You can pin the entire reports. You can pin the visuals from visuals, right? I mentioned visuals from different world, and also you can pin the tiles from one dashboard to another dashboard. It's as simple as that. Okay, and also you can share the dashboard and you can communicate with your team, and if you have premium license, right, you can communicate with your team. 1 second, I just click here. It is loading the report. So here you can see it drill down all the options. You can see it here, but 1 second, let me just go back to my workspace sales and marketing. 1 second, I'll just click here. Now if we go here, so we can see where is that sales and marketing. Currently I'm in sales and marketing. Here we can see the data set and the content, executive corporate dashboard. It became a dashboard, right? So now you have the dashboard got created, and you can share it to other people also. Okay, and this is, you can make it as a favorite, and if you don't want it, you can delete it. You can view the usage metrics report and view lineage. They'll ask you what is a lineage. Lineages, it will show you from where, what is the origin for this one. For this dashboard, we have used this report, and then this report we refreshed on so and so date the data, and the origin for this, the source for this one is the CSV file. The lineage will tell you from from the current dashboard to till the last one, right? The source of the information we can find out, end-to-end source. You can get the end-to-end source with the help of lineage. Please remember this. Lineage is very much helpful. In the interview, they'll ask you what is a lineage. Okay, and the next step is you just go here and select the executive corporate dashboard and see here, and you can view usage metrics report. I don't know if this is possible in this version. View usage metrics. Look here, loading your report. It shows you total number of views. It's something like YouTube views, right? How many number of people viewed my video, and how many of them, the WhatsApp kind of thing. WhatsApp, or this one, what is that? Instagram, right? Instagram, you post a video, how many number of people viewed, how many number of shares, so my videos got shared, and user metrics, something like this will show. Okay, and distribution, unique users per day, right? So that is also, it's showing views by user. So family name, given name, principal name. It shows the name also, I think. Platforms, you can use, so you can find out in web, using web, how many of them access to my report. Mobile, how many, and blank, right? So how many of them we can see it. So usage metrics also possible. So dashboard is your means to tell your story, right? Your dashboard should be well designed and it should contain the most important elements of your story. It should not have insignificant reports or something. It should have the most important information which is very critical for the stakeholders. As soon as they see this, they should be able to gain a quick insight. Fine. Okay, fine. So now you understood the difference between dashboards, because reports you can create it with the help of data model, tables, all the things, right? And you have visuals, everything. But dashboard you can create it with the help of the reports. From or one dashboard to another dashboard you can pin the tiles, okay? But dashboard, the way how we create it is different, okay? So, but in general, the general definition dashboard should capture all the KPIs and the important reports, right? That is what it should capture. But when it comes to Power BI or even other reporting tool, right? This is how they say dashboard is all about, okay? So the dashboard is nothing but the visuals from other reports, okay? But we pick up the important KPIs related visuals or KPI related or important visuals from the reports, not all the reports, okay? And we specific or the key visuals only we pick up from the reports, and then we will pin it to dashboard. Fine. Yeah. The next one is we will see the what if parameter. So what if parameter is also very much helpful. So using what if parameter, you can do what if analysis. What do you mean by what if analysis? 1 second. So, okay, what if parameter. So using what if parameter, we can create these scenarios, okay? We can do this scenario, we can perform scenario analysis. What is scenario analysis? What if scenario analysis, you can do it, right? To put it, in simple term, what if scenario analysis is a way of understanding how changes in one thing affect another. How changes in one thing affect another. Okay. Supposing, right, let's say you are selling mobile phone accessories in your shop, right? You charge $5 per mobile phone cover, okay? And you sell 100 mobile phone cover per day, right? So the example of the what if analysis is something like, what would happen to my revenue if I charge more for each mobile cover? I'll just write it here. So let's say you sell mobile phone, mobile cover, right? Mobile phone cover, okay? And you charge, let's say you charge $5 per cover, okay? $5 per cover, okay? And let's say you sell let's say 100, okay? 100 covers a day, mobile covers a day, okay? So in the case of what if analysis, right? So what we wanted to see is, we want to ask questions like what would happen if what would happen to my revenue if I charge more for each cover. So what would happen by increasing the cost? Will it increase the sale or will it decrease the sales? See, this general thing is, let's say we give discount to the products, right? We give discount to specific products based on various conditions or various scenarios, right? We give different, we don't give discount to all the products. We give specific discount to specific products. Okay. because maybe that product we launched it recently. In order to create awareness or in order to attract the customers to purchase our newly launched product, we are giving the discounts for those specific products. See, already my product has a lot of demand in the market, and my brand is dominating the market. In that case, why should I give a discount to my product, right? Already there are a lot of demands are there for my product. We are not able to meet those demands. First of all, we are not able to meet, the supply is less, demand is more. Okay, because of the demand is more, the supply is less. We are running pillar to post to address the demands. But there are some products, right? We just developed recently, and then we want to sell it in the market. So there are different things that we know. There are various reasons for giving the discount. But one thing which is very common is when you give the discount, it will have a hit on your revenue, right? The common sense is when I give a more discount, maybe more revenue may be more. So that if the revenue is more, if the revenue is more, right, more discount, if I give, we expect more revenue from the sales. But what happen is when you give the discount, right, it will have a hit on your profitability, right? It will have margin or your margin, instead of saying, right, margin or markup value, it will have hit on your markup value more. So supposing your discount is, since you are giving more discount but more revenue, right, fine, but end of the day the margin is not much, then what is the use, right? What is the use? It is not much use. Okay, so you need to do some kind of analysis. But if you don't give discount, you cannot survive, because my competitors already, they are giving the discount to my customer. How much discount can I give in order to achieve my target? Let's say you have something in your mind. So I want to achieve 0.7 million, right? 0.7 million. I need to achieve it for this quarter. This is what my target. Okay, and in order to achieve that, how much percentage should I give discount? If I don't give discount, I cannot get a good revenue. And if I give more discount, obviously I can get more revenue, but the margin is not so good, right? So instead, I need not to give discount. I need not to sell that many number, because it involves, end of the day, right? Not only discount, there are some products we ship it free of cost also. It will shoot up my cost. End of the day, you are selling you are just breaking, break even the, that's all. You are break even the money, that's all. You are not getting profit, you are not getting loss. So in that case, why do you need to do business? Brand building is fine. How long you will be running this show? By end of the day, you need to pay the bank a loan. As a company, you would have borrowed money from the bank, right? So you cannot tell bank, our brand is very good. Obviously, brand also matters a lot, right? So because the stock market prices, it completely depend on your brand, right? The market price is depend on your price, your stock price also. Customer reputation is based on your brand name only, because of which only the stock price also more. So now what we will do is, we will take a simple example, and then we will see how we can use what if parameter to perform what if analysis. Now you understood what is what if scenario analysis, right? So in the case of what if scenario analysis, we are interested in, right? So how change in one thing affect another, how change in one thing affect the other. So this is what the whole idea of what if scenario is. As part of what if scenario, we need to know how change in one thing affect the other, based on which you can decide, right? So you can you can take a call, right? So you can set the target, and then you can see, okay, so the discount is not, we have to give more discount on par with our competitor, otherwise we are going to lose the momentum. But the margin is wafer thin, or it is okay, not so impressive. But to sustain the momentum, we have to do it. So more discount, more revenue, but the the profit is not much, right? Fine. So what we do is we try to build the scenario. We perform the scenario based analysis using Power BI. So let me, where is the Power BI? Closed it. What is here? So here I have the, okay, it is readily available, good. And here I have something like this. For example, okay, let's go to the modeling, and here I can see the new parameter. What if? This is different from the query parameter, right? The query parameter, you can limit this one. Okay, for example, here I'm going to say discount percentage. Okay, and I say, I just give whatever name you want it. Okay, discount percentage, decimal number. The minimum is 0, and maximum, if I don't give a discount, how much I'll get. And then the maximum is, let's 1, or let's 0.5, and here 0.05. I'm going to do like this. Okay, default, you don't have to specify it. It will take some time to create this visual. Now the visual is ready. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to select this one, and here I will select fine. Okay, so now we have created the slicer. As soon as you create the slicer, you will find discount. We have given the discount percentage, right? The slicer name is discount percentage, and here generate series. The interview, they'll ask you, if you want to generate the values from 1 to 10, how can I do that? So in DAX, we have something called generate series, 0.05. So here this is starting value, this is the end value. You just think that, okay, or maximum value. This is the start value, minimum, maximum. This is the interval, right? So how you need to increment the value. So for example, if I go to the data window, and if I see the discount discount percentage, if I select this, it will show me this one. So the 0, and the maximum value is 0.5, and here it increments the value by 0.05. okay, 0.05, and then if you add 0.05 with this one, 0.1. So these are the values which we are going to use it in this one to forecast how much revenue we can expect it. For example, I just select this one, and here we have something like the analytics. I just go ahead here, and I'm going to add a constant line here. I'm going to say I just want to achieve something like at least 0.7 million, 7 lakh, right? 7 lakh. Look here, there is a line drawn here. So the whole idea is, I want to be very practical, and at the same time I want to dominate the market, right? So because my competitors, really they are doing good, So, and also I need to at least to stay on par with them, I need to boost my sales. I need to see, is there any way that I can boost my sales. So this is my this thing, right? Discount percentage, and yeah, there are two things will get created here. And 1 second, I'll just show you discount percent and discount percent value. One, right? So discount percent value. Look here. This is one is nothing but the selected value. Okay, discount percent discount value. This is the one. The selected value will select these values and then it will store it here. Okay, the value. So whatever you slide it, that value has to be captured, isn't it? So for that purpose, this is to generate the values, right? So what is the range? Okay, and this is to capture the value which you are currently, let's say I'm here, 0.05 should be captured there, right? So for that purpose, it is generating this one. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new measure now. I'm going to say new measure. So here what I do is revenue or after discount. Into discount percent value, the one whatever we selected, right? When you slide it, that value. For example, here I just slide it to this position 0.05, 0.05 into the sales, right? Total sales minus this one will give me the revenue after discount. That's a simple thing, right? You sell some product already used for measure. Okay, revenue already used it. Once again, I just say one here. Okay, it's already there. Then why should I create it? So revenue after sales. 1 second. I just go and see revenue after sales. Yeah, it's already created. It's already available. Okay, discount, but here we have given something else, right? So let me do one thing. Let me just change this one. Discount value. Okay, I just alter this one. Okay, now I just drag and drop this one into this visual. Look here. So I just dragged in, and this is my target. So my target is every month at least 0.7 million I should achieve the sales. But here January, look here. So the one is revenue after discount and this one is the revenue, right? So after now 0.05. So when I increase it, obviously my revenue will go down, right? My revenue will go down. But that doesn't mean, right? I should not give discount. If I don't give any discount, my sale will not be good, right? So if I drew it like this, right? The one I give, this one is not doing it. What I do is I just go ahead and change this. Instead of being very tighter thing, what I do is, yeah, let us do one thing. I just bring it here. 0.05. If I give, it is slightly going up, and if I give, so yeah, I can give only this much. Beyond that I cannot go, because 1 second, discount percentage. Here I just go ahead and change it to something like 0.2 something to get more the granular information. Okay, 0.0 to something like that. Okay, Instead of directly going to 0.05, I just start with 0, 0.02, right, something like that. Look here, now it is little bit okay, and if I give 0.05, okay, here I should not give that much value. One second, discount percentage here. Okay, here 0.05, right? So what I do is I give earlier I mentioned about 0.01. This is a maximum value, right? I should not have touched it here. So the maximum one is supposed to be, let's know, 0.5, and here I should change it. That's the reason it got confused. So this is the interval. I change the maximum value instead of the interval. So now that's the reason why it was not working properly earlier. And this is the maximum value, right? Minimum, maximum, and 0.02 is not working here. One second, let me just discount percentage value, and let's go and see why it is not discount percent value, right? So here 0 point, it's very tiny value, and but earlier I used that one, right? One second, 0.5, and here this is the minimum, maximum, and the interval is, I will say, 0.05. let us, I think in the 0.5% only it is taking into account. Sorry, here I made a mistake. If I do 0.05, it is going down. So what I do is I just go to the analytics and select this one and go to analytics. Instead of this, right, let us say at least, am I able to get 6 lakh or something like that, right? It is fine here, right? So if I give, if I don't give any discount, I'm getting it something like this. But if I do something, I have to give some discount, but at the same time it should not shoot up this one, right? In that case, you have to reduce, or let's say, right, to make sure that you have 0.5 m here, 0.5, but if I increase it, it goes down, right? So, but here it is very high. We can expect November, December, because of the seasonal sales, we expect more. And one second, if I give like this, right, it is somewhat closer to 0.5 m this January month, but February month is not that good. So what I am going to do is so if I don't give any discount, I'm all set, right? So I can go do good job. But other thing is, you can expect only this much. If you set the target something like 5 million, let's say 4 million, something like that, right? But here we don't have the data, or else we will do one thing. I'll just go ahead and change it there. So look here, so this is what if this is your target, it is fine. Or let's say, if you are able to make, but 5 lakh, if you give 5 million, right? If you want to achieve the 5 million, so if you don't give any discount, only you can do it, right? And supposing you want to say 0. If I give 0.02, it is not taking into account because it takes into the rounded values. or I will do one thing, 1 and 0.05 will do it that, but still 0.5 itself we are not getting good amount of thing, right? So yeah, it is coming here 0.06, 0.04 and 0.2, 0.2, right? Even when we do this, we don't have the good data here, that's why it's not showing correctly. The discount values are not the realistic one, and also we have only the partial amount of the data. So okay, if I give 0.02, right, at least January month I'm able to achieve the revenue. I'm giving the discount, because of the discount my revenue is also good. And here, right, February month I have to take a hit, right? So even if I give discount, the sale is, yeah, but sale is kind of okay, it's not that good, we are not meeting our goal. Okay, so what you do is, with this you can share it with your manager, export the data and save it as a CSV file, and you can share it with them. This is kind of a forecasted value, right? If the discount is 0.20 percentage, if we give the 20 percentage or 2 percentage, right? So this is what the profit. But if I give beyond this, we will not be able to achieve our target. Okay, we will not be able to achieve our target. Okay, if I give 5, right, so and 5 lakh, and yeah, we are able. So now look here, if my target is 0.5 million, all the months almost we are able to achieve the target with this discount percentage. If I increase it to 0.04, it is slightly falling down. But January month we are pretty, all the month we are pretty comfortable, including February. So the target should also be reasonable, right? You cannot set the unrealistic target, and your discount is 0.2%. So you can give 2% discount to achieve this one, right? That is what if analysis. You understood, right? The scenario. This is how you can do the scenario analysis. Similarly, you can do the pricing part also. If I increase the price, and how much increase in sales I can see it. Okay, you cannot literally go by this also, because it depends on your brand also, right? If your brand is very popular brand, even if there is a slight increase in the price, still customer will come and buy you. But still they compare the competitors thing, and if your brand is really good, and for example you are selling a water filter, most of the customers, they don't mind about buying a water filter with a good quality, right? Even if the price is slightly high, but because that brand is very good, you want to go by the brand. That is called brand affinity. Okay, many customers, they are very particular about the specific brand, they are okay with it. So this is how you can do the analysis. Okay, with this you can do the analysis. If I sell more, but right, so look here we are selling more, and after selling this, what is the margin? 13.86, right? This is my margin, or this is my after discount revenue. But again, you need to compare the margin. If the margin is also same, if the margin is less, right, if there is a let's say 1% drop in the profit, then you need to take a call, right? So ideally you need to check the profit also, how much the the profit will fall down, right? You can check that one also. So this is what this is how you should use the parameter, the what if parameter. So query parameter, you are already familiar with this, right? Yeah, so this is how you need to do it. Okay, next what we will do is, we will quickly jump into the next topic is data flow. Here I did not specify the data flow. Data flow is one of the important topic in Power BI, because reusability. So in the interview they'll ask you, can you tell me what all the reusabilities that you have developed it, that you have used it in your Power BI project, and even the SQL project. Okay, the SQL, we can say we created a package, or we developed a stored function or stored procedure, right? But when it comes to Power BI, how can you do that, right? So any how many number of reusabilities that you created it. For example, one of the thing is, data model. Once you create the data model, that can be used by all the developers in your project. The classic example, the data file assignment which I gave it, right? It covers almost all the departments. So marketing people, sales people, right? All the, even inventory also it is there, right? So employee performance also you can see it. So to develop multiple reports, you need more number of developers, report developers or dashboard developers should be there. One second, I'll just. So in that case, what will happen is, but end of the day, all of them are sharing the same tables, right? Same tables, but the columns and the formulas or the business logic which they use it is different. First and foremost, let us do one thing. I will use the Power BI datasets. If you have to use Power BI datasets, you are not supposed to have any other data to be loaded in your Power BI desktop. That is number one rule. And now what we do is we'll go to Power BI datasets. What I do is I just select EX retail report. You can try with big box. When you try with many files, you will get to know that. See, now I'm going to import the Power BI datasets from the cloud. Since already I have the connection, it is connected. It is not even asking me. Look here, when I use Power BI datasets, you can see only two icons here. One is the default one, the report view, and the next one is this one. You don't have the data view at all. So because of security reasons, you cannot view the data also, but you can use it in your visual. You can view it via your visual, but you are not allowed to view it directly from here. Look here, the data model, whatever you developed it is readily available. So in the interview they'll ask you, we have created data model, we have data model. So I was part of the data modeling team. So my responsibility is along with the other guy to design the data model. So once we design the data model, we share it with our stakeholders is American customers, okay? And right, after they review it and when they give any feedback, we will incorporate it. Once we incorporate all the comments given by them, and we go ahead and vet it by our stakeholders. Once they say okay, everything is good, then we are going to develop the data model. Once we design the data model like this, right? So what we do is we allow the developers, right? The developers are supposed to use our data model. So here, look here, you can see the blue color mark, right? So blue mark. When you right click on it, you can select the columns. You cannot delete any column, or you cannot even delete this. See, remove from model, you cannot remove it. So look here, if you delete it, it will not work. There is centralized control here. Okay, this is also kind of a reusability. Okay, this is one of the Power BI datasets. We use Power BI datasets because the data models, everything we created, we don't want that to be disturbed. But if you give access to every developer, what will happen is they can delete it, rename the column. They can delete it. They might delete a table itself, or they might change the column name. For example, if you select here date and order date got linked here, if they change it to some other thing, your visuals will not show anything. To have a centralized control, we use Power BI datasets. We create once we design and deploy the data model on a Power BI service, we ask all the team members to use them to have a centralized control, and also to have from the security point of view also, right? But when you select it here, but it takes time because it has to. So this is one of the way of saying that your profile is genuine, right? When they hear about this, yeah, this guy definitely worked in the real time scenario, they will think about it. But if you want to see the data, right, so what you can do is you can select the matrix, you can see the data, but you don't have the report view, data view here. Got it? So you cannot see the data view here because of the security reasons. They restricted you to use this one. Okay, and the next one is, we will go and see, this is one of the things that you can use it. The other one is, okay, data model is fine. You create whatever the data model you create, we are going to reuse it by importing it, and whichever columns are relevant to our report, we go and drag and drop it and generate the visuals, matrix or other things, and then we'll share it with the stakeholders, or we deploy it in cloud. Fine. The next one is the data model. Data model is very much important. Look here, I'm going to select transform data. Look here. Here we did all kind of transformation that are required for this table, for this file. Look here, already I converted the order date as order date. You remember in the file whatever we have it, right, which I shared it to you also, it was not in the proper data type, but still, one second, I cannot say proper data type, but when Power BI reads that file and it understands, it assigns text data type to order date by default, because it is all the values are embedded in, or since these values are separated by hyphen, right? Hyphen is there along with the numeric value, hence it considers this a string data, text data type. It assigns text type here. And similarly, ship date, we spend a lot of time in converting the date, so text to date type, and also we have removed we did some kind of cleaning, right? The sales table, sales column was having dollar along with the values in it. We removed the dollar and we converted that as the decimal data type, and even this was a text data type. Most of the columns were text data. We converted them as a, so we did all kind of data transformation. So now the data is clean and pre-processed. And if you look at this file, where is that Excel file? Yeah, this is the one. This is the actual file, right? So row.id, we removed the row.id. Look here, we have applied these many number of steps as part of this data transformation, right? We promoted the headers, we replaced the value, changed the type, and we applied these many number of steps. In your team, you have 20 developers are there, and almost 10 developers, they are supposed to use this table also as part of their reporting. In that case, if every user is going to download import this file and then apply these steps, it will take longer time. It's not a longer time, it's a redundant job. See, I have already cleaned it. If I give this pre-processed data to my entire team member, that is enough. It will improve the productivity. They don't have to, each and every person need not to do the same, they need not to apply the same steps. And other problem is they might tend to ignore or forget to apply some steps, right? So now you have done everything, applied all the necessary steps, and you vetted with your stakeholders. So they said everything is fine. Then what we are doing is we are going to publish this to cloud. Okay, so instead of publishing it to cloud, what I am going to do is I just go ahead and see here. I just go here and I select a workspace, and let's say I say something like sandbox, development sandbox. Yeah, it is already there, and this is for another batch we gave a demo, and let me use something else. Yeah, this is the one I'm going to use it. So what here I'm going to do is, in this workspace I select new. In this you have something data flow, prepare, clean and transform the data. I select this one. Here what I do is define new tables and link tables from other workflows, and import model, attach a common data folder. You can attach a common data folder also. So you can import the data flow model. Choose a data flow model to import into your workspace and add linked tables. Okay. So what I am doing is I'm going to add a new tables. The idea is very simple. So what I am going to do is I just copy paste all this. For example, if I go to the view and advanced edit, or simply I just copy paste this one, select it and copy it and paste it there. Yeah, I can paste it here. Instead what I am going to do is I'm going to select the file option, text CSV, because some issue is there, you cannot directly copy paste it because of it asks you for the authentication, everything. For that purpose I'm going to copy paste it, and you need to say sales underscore w04.csv. okay, and the next one is I'm going to say Windows, gateway, and okay, if I don't select anything, the gateway, right? So look here, the next button at the right bottom, the next button is not enabled, right? So you need to select the gateway, because gateway, you remember in the last session we discussed, that is the one will help you to securely migrate your data from your on-premises to your cloud. In my case, the on-premises, my laptop. Okay, so now what I do is I just selected it, Windows domain alias. Here I need to specify I need to see my laptop here, right? So 1 second, let me just not this one. 1 second. Okay, I'll have to see it from here only, right? This PC and properties. This is the one, desktop 8KBB. It's not getting selected. I will type it, not a problem. Where is that has gone? Okay, anyhow, I'll just create it one more time. In the interest of time, add new tables. Here what I'm going to do is I just select it. Currently you are in sandbox, so I just select file, and here the text.csv, that is the text file, and d:dat 1 second, d:dat1 sales w04 dot sales underscore w04 dot csv, and the next one is, you can use this one, the on-premise gateway. Here it will ask you this one, Windows, but basic, something called basic should come here. It is not displaying. Desktop -8KBB 8KBBDN3, and the password is admin. 1 second, here I mentioned admin. Next, it will take some time. It is going to validate everything, and it will try to push the file from here to there, because we just specified the file name here. We have not uploaded the file. See, it got loaded here, right? So next what I'm going to say, I have only three options: add table using examples. I don't want to use that. Transform the data. Okay, so all the data are available. Look here, row.id is available, but we have already did the data transformation here, right? We have already did the data. We don't need the row.id. We removed it, but still it shows row.id. And order ID, order date. Look here, order date and shift date. See, when you know, in the case of data flow, it automatically converts the date data type, irrespective of the format, everything. So now what I do is, I applied many steps here. These steps are not visible. Okay. And look here, when I select the query settings, I could see all these steps. These steps needs to be applied here, but the row ID is still there. And there are, look here, we will look at the sales column. Look here, the sales is in ABC, text data type. Okay, we remove the dollar. So whatever the data transformation, what are the steps that we applied it, we need to apply it there. What I am going to do is, I am going to select advanced editor. So we have the let in block. From here I just selected it. I just go ahead and copy it here. I replace this one. Okay, next I say one second. Next I'm going to select this icon. So on the right bottom, just above the save and close, you will find something like this one. When you select this one, the schema diagram, okay, it will show you what all the steps that we applied it. So this schema design is done based on the steps that we mentioned it here. It has to take up from this one. Or does it only after taking? Yeah, look here. So now one second. So it's not. Look here. See, now it has got applied. See, row.id has already gone. We did not remove it manually. We just copy pasted this code. And next one is, yeah, wait. So it took this much of time to show that one. The diagram. You have something like diagram. We look here. You have the source and you. What are the steps that you applied it? That it shows in terms of icons. Promote editors, replace the value, and change type. And if you scroll on the right side, right, you can see what are all the steps that you diagrammatically you can view. So you remove the columns. When you select rename the column, right, so it will show the step automatically. It will show here. It will take some time to show which column you removed it. That information it will give you. So this icon on the just above the save and right, yeah, table transform types. And let me do one thing. Rename the column. Yeah, transform column types. And one second. Rename the columns. So in between, if you want to add anything, right, you can add it. When you click plus sign, you can add it. So look here we have renamed the column, and we have, first I selected this removed column, right? Look here, this is the one removed it. It highlights this one. It is quite slow. Okay. Anyhow, and if you want to view the data, right, show data view only. I don't want to see everything. I want to see the data. You can see just by clicking this, you can see. And then you have something to show schema view, and that's what we have seen it. Schema view will show you the data type. Okay, the schema view, and data view will show the data, and query will show only the query. Okay, all this query, query language. So query script. Okay, step script also I can do it. And now I'm going to save and save. Now you understood, right? So this when we just replace this mquery by the one which we did it in our desktop. Save workflow. Okay, here, so pre-processed sales underscore w04. This is another workflow. What I can do is I can tell my people, hey, use this data flow. You import this data flow. You don't have to do this data pre-processing again. You don't have to apply these steps again. It has already been done. You can reuse it. It will in real time scenario, almost 55 to 60% of the time we are spending in data transformation only. Okay. So here we can see the incremental refresh. You can configure it here. So once you are done with this, you can specify you can enable the incremental refresh, and you can just by selecting you can on and choose a column. It does not have any order date time columns. Please remember, if you wanted to enable incremental refresh, date data type column alone not sufficient. You need to have the date time data type, otherwise it will not work. Ideally I should have uploaded, right? So I should have converted this as a date data type. For example, here we should have changed type and date time, right? Instead of date time. And when you do this here, it will automatically show the date. And then okay, anyhow, I'll just show you. It will not take much time. So I just go back here. So I'm going to convert this as a date. 1 second. I'll just change type to date time. Fine, we are done with this. Now this one I have all the up-to-date query language in it. I just select advanced editor. I just select once again everything, and I just go back here. Oh, it got closed. Okay, so I don't have to do it again, right? So 1 second. So it is getting closed. Okay, I'll just go here. I think I saved it, right? It should be there somewhere. No, I did not save it. I think I saved it. Yeah, 1 second. Sandbox, right? 1 second. Let me open the sandbox. Yeah, this cancel. You need to cancel it here. And sandbox, if I select it. Okay, it's already there. We don't have to, re-import it. I just go and do some settings and edit tables. So date time is very much important, the data type, in order to implement incremental refresh. So now I save and close it. It's very slow, Power BI. See, apart from this table, okay, in the interest of time, what I will do is I'll just go back here. So we are done. See, here we don't have to do anything, right? So we are, I just go and apply the changes here till this one get processed. Okay, sales W has an error. So what is the error? Sales W04 gone. So evaluation was cancelled. Okay, so the problem here is evaluating, yeah, creating connection in model. It has to create the connection in the model. So let it do it. In the meanwhile, we will just go back to the local dashboard, and then we will see 3.4 MB. Okay, loaded. The data got loaded. Save and close. So this will take another few minutes. I'll just go here. Okay, so apart from this, so next step is, once this has been done there, all right, let's say if this get created, how do I import it here? Just go to transform data, data source settings, select this one, and what you do is look at export as PBDS, edit permissions, privacy label, organizational, public. Okay, not this one. And global permissions, I have to use something like Power BI data flows. Look here I need to use this one, organization, privacy level, and edit organizational account. I just go here, sign in as a different user. So anyhow, let it finish it. Yeah, it's done. Now it has done. See, it was throwing an error, and it started fixing on its own, right? So now incremental refresh. When you enable incremental refresh on, look here, order date is visible now, because order date, the data type for this one we change it as a date time. Okay, choose a time period. So let's say I want to do a incremental refresh on a select store rows from the past for the last let's say if it is a monthly load, so if it's a daily load, right, last 2 days data I need to refresh rows from the past, in the past, last 2, this is a kind of 5 years, something like that. Okay, it will be set by years. The storage period must be set by years or a larger interval. Oh, so okay, so this is like something like I just say when the refresh is set by years. Okay, refresh rows from the past. The storage period must be set by years or a larger interval. The refresh period must always be okay. Deduct change. So here you have some deduct data changes. Only refresh complete years, and here what I do, store rows from the past. Let's say I just select years and store rows from the past. Okay, let me do one thing. Yeah, since it is a days, right, it accepts the refresh rows from the past, store rows from the past 100 days, right? So let's say instead of saying last 2 days, you need to change it. The refresh must be less than or equal to storage period. Okay. Or else, let's say only refresh complete days. If you select this one, so you have 2 different options here, and 5 days, and store from the past. For last 5 days you store the data, and then refresh from the past 5 days. If I say it's 10 days, it will not work. So it should be on par with this one. So you need to refresh the data from the last 5 days. Okay. And then what I do is I just select save here. Set a refresh schedule. And the next one is refresh schedule. It requires a Power BI premium license, and you just go and enable it on. So on a daily basis, and what time you need this refresh to be happen. Okay, and I need to happen every day by 7 p.m. close of pay. Sorry, here 7 p.m. Apply it. Table with active increment refresh which require premium to refresh. Look here, it requires premium license, but I have only pro license. I applied for the premium. I think it will take some days for them to process it. This is the step. Anyhow, these steps needs to be done by the admin guys. We don't have to worry about that. The database, sorry, the Power BI administrator. Okay. Look here. In this case, I'm going to connect to. See, now you create the dashboard. So you create the data flow on the cloud, and then you applied all the steps that are required to pre-process your data in a centralized places. So now what we do is, now let's say I'm a developer, I don't have to pre-process the data again. So my manager says, hey, the data got pre-processed data is already available, you need to use this one, it's already documented. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I need to connect to the cloud and then import that one. So here Microsoft, you need to have the Microsoft Authenticator, and you need to approve it from your mobile phone. It's approved. So takes some time. It approved. Save. That's all. Privacy level, and I say none here. Okay. And I just say close. Okay. Data source settings. Data source in current file, and global permissions, data flows, and edit permissions, and I did this one, permissions also any, right? So I just did it, and I need to download that one here, export as a PBDS. So this file I can export as a Power BI data flow PBDS. See, here itself you can export as a Power BI data flows, and you can push it. See, that's why you can import the data flows also, right? Probably you can try this one also. And the next step is close here, and I'm going to list, let me open the transform data here. So you need to, okay, so the next step is we need to import that one. One second, this one, this step I somehow forgot it. See, once you put it there, right, you can ask the users to develop it there, but in order to use with your current data model, you need to download it here. Okay, only way out is so now we need to consume the workflow. So the only way out is, yeah, we just selected the global permission, search data source settings. Okay, here, yeah, desktop, all functions, Power BI desk flows. We just connected type this one, right? Okay. Okay, sorry, I just made a stupid mistake here. Here we don't have to come here. Once you set this here, right? See this one in the very first session I discussed it once again. I just close and apply it. You remember the get source, get data, right? That is where we need to get it. My keyboard has some problem. 1 second. So you need to look here. You can see something like where is that? Here you don't see the data flow. Okay, here you can see it. Get data. You can see that one. Data flow. Power BI data flows, right? So there are two types are available. Connect to this one. You can also export it from your desktop. The data flow itself, you can create it here and you can export it, and there you can import it. So that's why in the cloud, it was showing an option like data flow, right? Import data flow. In Sandbox pre-process save, this is what we stored there, right? So I'm going to select this one. Okay, I think it will take some time. Yeah. This table is empty. Now you load it. See, now it says the table is empty. See, now it is downloading it from the cloud. Since I already have sales W04, right? It downloads at W02. Okay, it got downloaded, but I have only the empty data in it. I don't have any data here. So the next step is, how do I this is where I think you need to specify the data source settings. Okay, and here I need to I just specify this one. Power BI data flow, edit permissions. I think better I will use So all these things are admin's job, okay, but only thing is this part they will ask you to download it. They will guide you how to do that. Close. Ideally it should display the arrow here. It is not refreshing here. Okay, when the data source settings, right? So this is where we, okay, or else here I just, the same thing, right? The source is, you need to select the source here. Sorry. You need to select the source here, and then what you do is Power BI data flows and connect it. Sandbox, select Sandbox, and here okay, you will find something like folder, right? And in this here, right, so you will find you have a separate column called data, and here you will find folder, and here you will find the double arrow. Okay, here you need to select this one, list all the thing, use original column name as prefix. simply select all the things, okay, and data flow ID, everything. Insert a new step for this. So now we have expanded data. Now we have the expanded data. The next step is what, yeah, we have something called data.data. So ideally it should not be like this. 1 second. So I just remove that option. You need to disable this one and select it. Otherwise, for each column it prefix it with the data dot order date, data dot order, something like that. Okay, we don't want that. Look here, you have something data one. So here I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to say, look here, all the columns that are there in the cloud, right? So it's all imported. It's being imported. It will take some time to import it. First it will import all the columns, it seems, and then it will import the data. Yeah, ideally I should not have specified that one, the refresh there. Any of the free refresh is possible only for the premium users. I'm going to, so if you remove that, you will get the data. Okay, you don't have to set the refresh thing. And here we can see the database here, database, yeah, we cannot expand it. So that is the reason why it is not showing it. So it has to refresh the data, right? It will take some time to refresh it, hence it is not showing it. Otherwise it would have displayed all the values. Okay, so you can I can remove this one, right? So I can do something like this off, and I can go back. Again I need to re-import it, because this one, to come into effect, I have to I have to redo this one. The same way you have to do it, okay, for the incremental data refresh in the Power BI thing. See, this is the one we used it for the common transformations. If you want to perform any common transformation, you can use the data flow. So perform all the data pre-processing, and this can be used by all the other users. Okay, so this is the one. Okay, let's wait for some time, let it finish that, and next I'm going to say close and apply. The next step is, look here. If you make one small change, it takes a lot of time. Save and close. Look here, this is another painful thing. Validating queries pre-processed. Okay. One row loaded. Okay. I disabled it there, right? Here incremental refresh. Okay, I did not say overwrite continue. Yes, I should have done this one. Anyhow, I'll be doing it now. Continue. Disabling will overwrite all the things next time. Okay, accumulated. See, even when you disable it, right? As of the time and date when you disable this one, right? What are the data got accumulated? The next time, right? Again, data. The next time this data flow is refreshed, data accumulated on the start date that stored in your table may not be lost, or you should want to continue. Continue. See, it is asking for the confirmation several times. Since I enable that one, right? So it is not coming here. But here we can see the data. Yeah, here also we are not able to see. Earlier we were able to see, right? Okay, transform data. In real time, this is the biggest pain. When you work with a huge amount, even for small data, it takes longer time. It takes a lot of time. Some reports it runs for 2 days, 3 days, even on cloud, and even on Hadoop system, it takes longer time. So we can see only one data here, and this is where we can see this. If I select this one, use original column as prefix. Okay, table. So you can see now the table column names, the table data needs to be select all, yeah, expand. Still I think that has not been enabled, right? So that's the reason why it is causing this problem. So this one has to be stopped completely there. Okay, only then I think this one work. First of all, that one was not scheduled, right? How come? But still, whatever it may be, we defined a policy. Because of the policy, right? Till it refreshes the data, it'll take some time, it seems. This one is not getting stopped. See, it'll take some time. Ideally I should not have done this. I should have showed you that one and then I should have done it. So anyhow, this is due to that policy that we defined. Okay. The next thing is incremental refresh for the other files. Okay, for the other files. What do you mean by other files? Other data set. Let's say you have no. So this is the one, right? W043. Any of this one we don't need it now because we are not going to use it. Okay, the next thing is, for example, you wanted to schedule an incremental refresh for this table. Okay, that is the transformation. The Power Query editor, we scheduled it there. Apart from this, if you want to schedule a table itself, right? Some tables, more than one. So for example, your sales W04. This is the table you want to schedule it for incremental refresh. You can do it here. Just go here and select sales W04. This order date column, I have to make it date time. It's already there, or date time. Why it's not enabled? And here, let me just go here. Yeah, it is order date time data type only, right? So yeah, we just did that. Date time, okay. So next I'm going to say close. So here when I select this W04, I think only for the RDBMS it is doing it. Okay, incremental refresh, you can select it. Says W04 is there, but you are not able to do it. The simple way of doing is here I just go and get the data from SQL Server. The same thing here also you do the same thing. The whatever the window, the incremental refresh which I showed you, right? The same thing you need to do it here also. That's all. So here yeah, I need to specify the server name. I'm connecting to MySQL server. From there I'm going to import a table. That table we will schedule it as, okay, the other reason is, okay. The other reason is you need to create something called start, range end. There are two types of variables are there. Anyhow, I'll just import this one. I just load it here. Only when you create the two parameters, the first step is you need to have a date time column in your data set. Only then you can schedule the incremental refresh. Step 2 is we need to create the query parameters here, range start, range end. These two are, in order to do that you should be knowing the date time and all. Okay, so here what I did here, right? Yeah, we will use this sheet, and let me go here and see it got imported. I think that's the mistake I did. Anyhow, so not a problem. So here I just go here and open the transform data. Yeah, minimum date 7/1/2011. So 7/1/2011, and the maximum date is 31/12/2014. 31/12/2014. Right? This is the maximum date, maximum date. We have noted down. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new parameter. Here I say the name is parameter 1, let it be there, and here any type nine. So here date time and any value. Current value is 7/1/11. Okay, and here I say this one, and yeah, you need to specify this one. This is very much important. Range start, and then I'm going to create another parameter, new parameter. So this is must range start and range end. You need to specify that range end, and then you need to specify the date time, and the next one is the maximum date. So instead of doing the entire thing one time load, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 31/11/2014 up to this. You load the entire data, one time load. Okay, so you restart, and then we will test it out. So this is the, okay, here we need to specify date time, right? So okay, I think because of some, if you don't have the data also some problem. Yeah, 31/10, yeah, 11th month. I think we don't have the data. Range start and range end, we create the two variable. Step 1 is your data, your order date should be a date time, and range start and range end. This is the naming convention you are supposed to use it, because this is the reserved word kind of thing. Okay, the next step is you go to the sales W04 and go to order date and date time filters and select something is equal to or okay, something I'll select it. Here here what I'm going to do is after or equal to. So you just select range start, and here you need to specify is before or equal to this sorry, you need to select the parameter here, range end. Range start, range end already we defined the dates here. We don't want to do the hard coding here, right? Since with this variable we are going to and then we select OK here. So the next step is I think flat file also it is possible. We will check it out. For the database only I tested it. Okay. Now if you select incremental refresh, look here, now it is enabled, right? You need to create range start and range end, and you need to set it as a filter, and then only this button will get enabled. Look here, now it is done. So archive data starting and start value before refresh date. So I wanted to say the archive data using this one. Let's say I say 30 days, and then it's incrementally refresh data starting from data starting from 30 days, right? So last 30 days and select 30 days. Okay, 30 days values. So data will be incrementally refreshed from 11/29 2000 11/29, yeah, 11th month, right? It's 29/11 2021. Okay, this is 21 we are giving it, right? So data imported from 11 to, okay, because we imported it on this day, it is taking into that one. So what we will do is date start from years. Okay, instead of this, what we will do is I just say last 2011, let's say last 10 years. Okay, we just give like that, 2011. So now it's 10 years, right? Yeah, yes, 21. So incrementally refresh data starting 30 days. Okay, something like this. Only refresh complete days, or if you want to refresh complete days, right? The entire one-time load. This is incremental load, and here I just unable to confirm the mquery can be folded. Okay, I just click OK. So once this has been done, once you define the incremental refresh, the next step is you need to publish it on cloud, and we don't have the premium license. So what will happen is whichever dashboard you publish it, it will come here, and all you can do is, for example, this is your data set. You need to go and where is the data set here? This is the parent, right? You need to go and schedule it. So the file which we are publishing it here, sales W04, from here, right? We define the incremental policy. We select it here. We go ahead and specify the connection here, schedule refresh and gateway connection, everything. Once you publish it, you can do it. It's same way, the same as that one, right? So, but here we are doing it from our desktop as well. But you need to, the step one is you need to have the date time column, and the next one is range start, range end, date column. You need to specify range start. You need to specify the start date of your minimum date of your order date and the maximum date of, right? So what I did here, I just just try to prefix it, prepone at least 1 month prior to this. Okay, so 2011 to 31/10/2014, I want to extract the entire data. After that, whatever data is there, you need to see after that, right? 11 and 12 month. 11 month we don't have the data. 1st December to 31st December, whatever data was there in my file, it has to incrementally push it instead of reloading the entire data again. For example, here, if I click here, see, if I click here, it's a refresh. This file you uploaded it already. This file is there on cloud, and when you refresh it, what will happen is, let's say if this file has 25 million records, it will refresh the entire 25 million records. It will reload it, the entire file. I don't want the entire file to be refreshed, because in my business, 2011 to when? So 7/1/2001 we started the business, and until 10th month of 2014, whatever data is there, you load it only once. Don't, if I refresh it, if I click it more than one time, it will try to reload it again and again, the entire file. Loading the entire file, let's assume that this 3-year or 4-year data, or 5-year data, right? You have something like 80 million records are there, or let's say, you have something like 1 billion records are there. So what will happen if you try to refresh every time? 1 billion records will try to get loaded. It's a time consuming process. Once you finish the loading part, this is one time load. So the next one, what you do is the rest of the things, right? So from 11th and 12th month data alone, you need to load it. So for example, now we are in 2021 December. This month data alone, or for example, this is let's next time, right? So 1 or 31 1 2015. So next time when the incremental refresh as per the schedule, whatever you did it, right, it has to load only this month data. Instead of loading the 1 billion records, it has to load only that month record. So this 1 month record will get appended with this already loaded 1 billion records. This is how in real time we will be scheduling the jobs. So that is the difference between incremental and one-time load. So you need to, but here the question is there any way I can test it out? So without premium license, you cannot do it. I will see to that. As soon as I get it, I will give a demo on that also. Okay. So I am waiting for that. It will take some time. So okay, we are done with this one also, right? So the next one is, what are the next pending items? Next we have the refresh the data. Subscribing reports we already discussed, to schedule the report automatically, right? All these things we have seen it. Only thing is iterator function. Couple of iterator things like rank X, top N, and summarize. Function is summarize is also same as group by function. And we have some parallel period and performance analyzer. Using performance analyzer, you can check how much time it takes to load the data in your thing. So guys, so far I covered all the important topics. Only rank X and top N and summarize, we will try to have a discussion tomorrow night itself. Otherwise tomorrow, if not possible, because the new year, again we are squeezed to work day and night. Okay, tomorrow if not possible, we will do it later. But thing is, whatever I covered so far, that is enough for you to go ahead and complete the project work. Okay, don't take it lightly. Whatever is there, you start do it. Okay. So in real time, right, even reward points, you need to include one more rule, reward points. So you have create a new column for the loyalty customers, right? Some customers, loyalty customers, they must be having some card, and then loyalty card. Okay, so in that case, right, we need to accumulate the reward points for them also. Those have the contact number, loyalty card. So we need to accumulate so come up with the rules, like for every 2,000 rupees, for every 1,000 rupees, 100 points. Okay, and 2,000 rupees, 200 points. So with the 200 points, they can redeem 100 rupees worth of money. Okay, 200 points, right? So in that case, what will happen is, we will have another rule. The net sales is the sales minus the discount minus this one. If anybody has reward points, they want to redeem it, that one also you need to subtract it. All right. So those kind of things, first complete these assignment, okay, and I will also try to add some more things. I will make it neat because hurry burry we put it, so we'll try to put it something else there, okay, and we'll try to make it as complex as possible, so that, so actually you need to follow these steps: create a PBDS file there and import it, and identify the files that requires common data pre-processing. So that one you pre-process it, and then allow the users to use it, okay, and then next step is incremental refresh. Another thing is like security, a dynamic row level security that has to be given for all the developers. So we are net we have completed almost everything except this one: parallel period, performance analyzer, iterator function. Rankx also very simple function. Top n is also top 5 sales in the top 5 regions, top 5 region by sales, and if you do ascending, it is going to show you the top 5. If bottom 5, so you need to use descending, that's all, okay. In the Rankx, you are going to do the ranking here also, okay. In the case of ranking, it doesn't right, it does the filtering, row level filtering for the ranking value. So row, for each row it does the ranking. So what you need to do, ignore the ranking, ignore the row level filtering, you need to use all function. So all function will disregard all the row level filtering, and then with that, for each row within that group, you can do the ranking, okay. So this one I know is pending, we will see this. The summarize is same as group by, but you can do more, you can include more levels in summarize function, but here you can do subtotal, everything you can do it, okay. Subtotal and all you can do it with summarize. That is the difference between group by and this one at a high level. Top n, you know very well, right? So top n, you can also refer my document. I have a syntax, everything, you can try it out. Rankx also you can try it out. Top n is there in my assignment, right? So rank also you can do some kind of ranking, okay. Parallel period and performance analyzer best practices. These things we will discuss it in the next session. Tomorrow we will have it, because day after tomorrow even I myself, right, will be very busy because of the sales, all the things in USA, okay. So what we will do is tomorrow night itself we'll try to cover this one. In the worst case, we will have the follow-up session on the upcoming Wednesday. In the meanwhile, send me all your profile, don't delay any further, okay, because we need to make changes to your profile in multiple iterations, and then we can take it up with the prospective employer, and meanwhile complete the assignments and start practice it. This is enough, okay. Any questions so far? Any questions? Okay, since you don't have any questions, I'll be sharing the video, okay, and watch my video and start practice those assignments, everything, okay, fine, okay. We will so anyhow, advanced New Year wishes. We don't know, tomorrow we'll be meeting it, okay. So we will in the worst case we will meet in the next week, next Wednesday, okay. All right, okay. Good night, take care.